Great to meet you. Thank you, Annie, for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Well, as you know, I love talking about myself, so I'm happy to be here.
So let's get to the beginnings of how this began for you, being a viral sensation on TikTok and it being an author. Take me back to the beginnings. What was your dream when you were young? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, that was different. When I was young, I was brought up very poor in the Bronx in a three-room railroad flat. And I dreamed about being in the movie. I loved the movies, I loved musicals. I wanted to be Ginger Rogers. You're probably too young. But anyway, I've had a career as an actor writer. Small, but I was fortunate that I had a recurring on Seinfeld, so that kind of raised my stock a little bit. And I've always written humor stories and then one day I said to a young friend, I've done solo shows. I like saying my own words, but I never could find an audience. I mean, out here, you do a storytelling evening. You're lucky if there are 60 people in the audience. That's a big night.
Yeah.
So I had a young friend, and older people should always have young friends, by the way. And I was telling her, I thought maybe I should go on Instagram, which I don't know how to do, and put up little clips of my thoughts, my humorous and wise thoughts. And she being 30 said, "Oh, Instagram is so toxic. It's so last century. You should be on TikTok." And I said, "You're crazy. Why would anybody want this old Jewish lady from the Bronx? Want to hear?" And she said, "Trust me, Andy, you will go viral." And we started it the day before lockdown.
Oh,
And now I have almost 500,000 followers.
wow.
It's been a miracle. And I still do not quite understand it, but I'm grateful for it. Um, and I think sometimes you spend your life, as you were saying, following your passions, do your thing. I always thought I was funny. I always thought I was smart. I never found a way to put it all together
Yeah.
until this totally accidental thing happened. And now I love it. People stop me on the street. "Oh, I follow you. Oh, you're the Krispy Kreme lady, blah, 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 blah." I love it because, like all performers, I'm an attention whore. I love the attention. And I love the confirmation that there was a talent there,
Yeah.
that I did have something to say, that I could reach people. That's a long answer to a very short question.
I love
Sorry.
long answers. It gets me, it opens up a lot of doors that I've already wanted to open up. What were the foundational seeds for you as a child in the Bronx that made you want to perform, to be in front of people, and to want a little bit more attention?
Unhappiness, I would say.
Yeah.
People with very happy childhoods really become performers. Or it's certainly not comedic, certainly not humorous. Humor comes from pain. I
Yeah.
really believe that.
Yeah.
Uh, and I mean, I guess maybe there are some exceptions, but I had a miserable childhood. I hated the Bronx. I hated everything there, and I wanted something different. And I dreamed of, and I was fortunate that it happened. Um, and mostly it happened, I would say, it sounds very old-fashioned. It happened through getting an education. I studied piano. I went to the High School of Music and Art. I went to Bard College. I hung out with other kids who were creative and kind of offbeat, kind of outsiders. And those creative outsiders finally made me feel that I had found the family I belonged in. And that's true to this day. I
So,
love my friends. I love my creative friends.
so what was the first time that you were on stage or in front of a group of people and you saw that sparkle in their eyes and you knew that you had something? That was the place for you to be.
Uh, I don't know. I'm not sure of the answer to that. I don't really dwell on the past that much, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all over and done with, and I think it's not just being on stage. I like making people laugh. I
Yeah.
discovered early on, I was always told I was unattractive. I was not one of the pretty girls. So I thought, well, I've got this other thing. If I can make people laugh, then I will get friends and I'll be popular. So humor was my ticket really to popularity, to the things that I couldn't get in the way that other girls could get. I couldn't floor my way in, but I could, you know, charm
Yeah.
charm my way in. So humor has really been my main ammunition in my creative life.
Who was your favorite comedian, favorite funny person on the planet?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say. I mean, I love Chris Rock. I love the old ones, the old guys like the Mel Brooks and uh I love the Eddie Murphy movies. Right now, I like a lot of the women, and I like the comics. Comedy has changed. I don't like gags. I
Yeah.
don't like jokes. I like stories. And now comedians and storytellers like Ali Wong or oh, what's her name? Oh, Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
People who get up there and tell you about their lives, their sex life, being a mom, that's what I like.
I miss the days of Don Rickles where he could take pot shots at
Oh, I love
everybody.
those.
And it was
I love
fine.
those old guys. Oh, I love those. Oh, I sometimes Benny, my husband Benny, and I will just sit down and we'll say, play Henny Youngman.
Yeah.
Play who's the other one? Henny Youngman, and who was the other one? Like that. I get no respect. Or
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield.
yeah, Henny Youngman, right. Yeah. I sent my wife went to the beauty parlor. She was there for 4 hours, and that was just for an estimate.
And
You couldn't tell any of those jokes now.
no,
They're all
no.
so racist, so
I
sexist, so
know.
couldn't tell, and they're hysterical.
I know.
They
It
are
was
hysterical. I love those.
absolutely hysterical. So talk to me about heroes. Who's been an inspiration that's made you consistently be funny, consistently have a thirst for the stage? Who's been that for you?
Hero. Oh, the people I admire. Gosh, there are a lot of them. It catches me off guard because I want to talk about my book.
Yeah, we will. We are. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get a little context.
Well, I just mentioned some of them. Oh, I love the people like Tina Fey and Amy.
Schumer.
But no, Tina Fey and uh, 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 she always appears with her. Oh, I'm stupid.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
forgetting.
She was on Parks and Rec.
Yeah, yeah. Tina Fey and I mean those people, they're so
Yeah,
smart.
yeah,
They're so funny. And without losing their femininity. The female comics in the old days, I wasn't so crazy about because they were so self-effacing. Oh, I'm so ugly. Oh, I'm so, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
These women are perfectly comfortable in their skin. They're perfectly attractive in any way. They don't put themselves down, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. There's a different confidence. Um, Her name almost came to me. It's going to come to me before we're off. Let's get into the book. Talk to me a little bit about.
Yay!
So let's get into the journey. I
Can
don't
I
think people.
show it?
Yeah, please.
Is there
Yes,
any
yes. The
point
Book
in
of Annie.
showing it?
So the thing I don't think people
You
realize
know
is,
what? I have to give the whole title because I made a big mistake with the title. I'll explain that in a minute. The
yeah,
whole title is The Book of Annie, Humor, Heart, and Chutzpah from an Accidental Influencer. Uh, and I only got the book deal because of the TikTok thing.
yeah,
Publishers thought, oh, she already has a platform, she already has an audience. So, I mean, so everything lent from but the book is it's what I do. I have humorous essays on how I see life. I talk about happiness, about marriage, about parenthood, about restaurants, things that interest me, restaurants, travel, thrifting, relationships, death. I don't know, you name it. I mean, just life, my particular point of view, because I'm going to tell you something interesting. All my life, I have been criticized for being too talkative, for being too opinionated, for being too blunt about my opinions. I was told these were unattractive qualities, particularly in a woman. And I've always apologized. I've always felt bad about that. I thought, why can't I be more girly? Why can't I be more, the pretty girl who sits with, and laughs at the stupid jokes that whatever the guy is saying? I was never that girl. I've always apologized for it. Now, Joe, I'm 86 years old, okay? And my 500, almost 500,000 fans are celebrating me
yeah.
for exactly the qualities that I've been criticized for all my life. They cherish my opinions. They cherish this. I get comments like, "Oh, I could listen to you talk forever. Oh, I love your wisdom. Oh," and for me, this is so miraculous. But I want to say that to the audience, and it's one of the themes of the book. Do not be poisoned by other people's negative opinions of you. We all get that. You're too this, you're too that, you do that. And we ingest those and we believe those. And they're not necessarily true unless you're Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Unless you're a really bad person, then you should
Yeah.
listen to. But if you're doing no harm and living your life and trying to find your own bliss, do not accept, do not believe other people's opinions of you. It took me a long lifetime to figure this out. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and it makes me think about this. And I'd mentioned jazz radio. Are you familiar with Marilyn May?
Singer, right?
Yeah, jazz singer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Johnny
yes.
Carson
Okay.
loved her, would just freak out every time
Okay.
she came on the show.
Hmm.
Anyway, she's kind of become kind of this hip, like modern, like her shows are in New York. She's starting to get more attention right now. She's always been in the jazz radar, but my point
Okay.
is that she's stuck to who she was all these years, and now in this like mid to late 80s part of her life, it's like all coming to fruition, like everybody's
Wow.
recognizing her. And I think about that with your
Wow.
story. It's like it's never too late to continue to be who you want to be, and somebody's going to see it at some point.
Well, hopefully. And also the thing is this, you can't be afraid of failing. I think people want instant success, instant, especially the younger people now, they're not allowed to fail. Everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a prize. Uh, I have learned so much. I value my failures as much as I cherish my successes because every time I failed, I thought, okay, how can I make this better? What did I do wrong? Or maybe I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe, okay, I know this was good. They're wrong, and I'm going to continue to do it. You have a choice there, but you always learn something from it.
Speaking of learning something, in the process of a book, which is a long process, you have to unearth a lot of stories and a lot of parts of you. What kind of process was this? Was this cathartic? What was the general feeling of this book?
Well, the thing is, I have been a storyteller for so many years. My book is a total plagiarism. I just stole from myself. I just went into my archives. Let's see, do I have a story about being a mother? Here it is. Do I have a story about thrift shopping? Here it is. So I actually did not have to write a whole lot of new because I've been collecting this material for, 40 years.
Yeah,
So a lot of the book had already been written, or I would go to a TikTok and expand on a tick. When I started TikTok, you had 60 seconds.
yeah.
Okay. Now you can go as long as 10 minutes. I never do, but I took some of the small things that had seemed to resonate with people and I expanded them into a story. Um, I like stories. I like hearing stories. I like telling stories.
So what was the period of your life that you think you grew the most, that you really became you?
Right now,
Yeah.
in my 80s. Really. I'll tell you another funny thing about what happened to me in my 80s. In addition to always being told that I was too noisy, too talkative, too opinionated, in Hollywood, in the casting process in Hollywood, I've always been told that I'm ugly. Now, they don't use that word. They say, oh, she's a character actress. A character actress basically means she's not pretty. She can get the laugh. She can be the friend or uh, if a casting call went out today for an attractive older woman, I would never be seen for it. I'm too Jewy looking. I'm too ethnic looking. I'm not Hollywood's idea what attractive is. And again, I always accepted that. Oh, I wish I were pretty. I wish I were attractive, but I know that I'm not. Now, again, this miracle. My fans on TikTok, you know what they say? Oh, you're so gorgeous. Oh, I love your style. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, what's that? Oh, I love your fashion sense. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so, I have never heard this in my life,
Wow.
ever. This is the first time in my life when people are telling me, and I'm accepting that, gee, maybe I'm a good-looking woman. Never,
Wow.
because I've been told the opposite all my life.
But you had mentioned being on Seinfeld, one of the greatest shows in TV history. How did that happen? What was that like?
Everything's an accident. Everything in my, well, I'll tell you, one of the themes one of the great themes of my book is whatever somebody offers you, the answer should be, yeah, why not? Yeah, why not?
Right.
I'm not saying bungee jumping, I'm not saying something crazy, right? But in 1991, I was a totally unknown bit player in LA. And my agent calls me and he says, look, there's this new show. I don't know anything about it. Uh, Another actress in the office, a much better known actress than I, she turned down the audition because she said, it's just a couple of lines. I'm not interested. The agent said, do you want to go in for it? And I said, well, yeah, why not? And in order to get to the audition, I actually risked my life because I can't drive. And I had to go, and I accidentally found myself on the Hollywood freeway, and my usual top speed of 32 miles an hour. And I had to cross. Anyway, I risked my life to get there. I got the job. I did one episode. We came home and we watched it. And my husband said, I don't get it. I don't get this show. It's not about anything. He now watches at least 3 episodes a night, every single night.
That's it.
But that first episode was one of the classic ones. It was the pen.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they would ask me, but I didn't know that my character would repeat. I did some of the classic episodes. I did the pen, I did raincoats, I did Cadillac, and then they liked me. I got along with them. So they gave me a second character where I don't know how well you know the show. There's a great episode, Airplane, where Jerry gets bumped up to first class and
Yeah.
Elaine is second coach, and Elaine is second coach sitting next to me.
Okay.
Okay. Now, being associated with that show raised my stock tremendously
Yeah.
in the business
Yeah.
because, it is a phenomenon. And when they say, oh, she recurred on Seinfeld. So everything changed for me
Yeah.
by saying, yeah, why not? And I think about the actress who said, well, no, it's just a couple of lines. She should have said, yeah, why not? Now, I'm
Right.
going to tell you something, Joe. I figured out in all 4 or 5 episodes I did, I don't think I had 30 lines total.
Yeah.
Because my character wasn't that important. I was there to support the guy, which is what happens a lot in those shows. You're there, the women are there to support him, but the guy who played my husband, he was the important character. I don't know if I had 30 lines. That's since 1991, I've gotten in residuals about $100,000
Wow.
from that show, from those 30 lines, from saying, yeah, why not?
Yeah. That's it.
Now, just try it. You don't know the results of anything in your life.
There was a singer in town. She passed away before the pandemic. Her name was Molly Hammer. She got cancer. It went to remission. And I remember interviewing her. And I said, what did you learn now that it's in remission? She said, I say yes to everything now.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
It,
It's that
yes,
idea.
I do.
Why not? What's the worst that can happen? It's like asking somebody for something. What's the worst that's going to happen? It ain't going to happen, but at least you tried,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you know? So, of all of these things that you've done and evolved into, and in this new stardom at 86, what are you the proudest of?
I guess I'm proudest of not giving up, of being stubborn, of really believing through all the failures and all the, insults to my face, to my personality, that something in me, some crazy thing in me believed that I had something to offer,
What?
you know? So
Yeah,
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that belief that I was worthwhile, that I had some brains and some humor and some insight into the world. I can't really tell you. That was lucky that I never stopped believing that.
I think it's that mysterious mix of how things go viral. I don't think people that study how things go viral understand how it even goes viral.
No, there's a saying in Hollywood, they say nobody knows anything. Because you don't know what's going to be a success, what's going to take. Nobody knew about Seinfeld, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I cannot. I've talked about this with a lot of people. You cannot predict. I do some TikToks that I think are so powerful and so universal, and are going to reach so many people in their souls. hardly any traffic. And
Nothing.
then I'll put something up. A couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in a public park, which is rare in Los Angeles. There were very few. And a young Asian kid came up to me. I believe he was Korean. I think he said, he was very respectful, 14 years old. Please excuse me for bothering you, but are you the Krispy Kreme lady? And I said, yes. And we started chatting. And I said, well, while you're here, do you want to do it? I always do. I often, when fans come up, I do a TikTok with them. I think it's fun
Yeah.
to explore who my fans are. And he's the youngest I ever had. So we did a little TikTok. I don't know what we talked about. He was studying music. It was a big fat nothing. It was a nothing burger. And I mean, he was just a sweet kid. Uh, and I kept it. I do that sometimes. I'll keep some TikToks for when I don't have material. And one day I thought, I have nothing to post. I'll put up this stupid little thing. No one's going to watch it. It has now, I think, close to 1 million views.
Wow.
I cannot tell you why. I've watched it again. I don't get it.
Yeah.
He's just a nice, sweet, respectful kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why that resonates with people, this old lady and this young Asian, I don't know, is it because he's Asian? I cannot explain it.
It's so weird. It really is. I know the
And it's
feeling.
nothing. I'm telling you, it's nothing compared to some of the things that I say that I think, oh my God, this is going to go.
Yeah, I know. It's the weirdest thing. So, what's the best fan letter you've gotten from your book so far?
From my book,
Yeah,
did you
from your
say?
book. Yeah, in response to
I
your
don't
book.
get fan letters from the book. It doesn't, but I'm going to tell. I'm glad you asked me this question, though. I get comments on TikTok and I look at them all.
Yeah.
And now I try if I can to respond to them. But I got one comment that touched my heart so profoundly. And it said, I do not understand why I relate so deeply to an old Jewish American woman. I am a 16-year-old Afghan boy. And that just, even as I talk about it, I get a little full.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, how wonderful is that? A 16-year-old boy in Afghanistan
Uh-huh.
is watching me.
Yeah.
I did something right. I don't know what, I'll tell you one thing. When the kids stop me in the street, I say, explain this to me. What is it about me? And they use this word, they say, because you're authentic. I'm not sure what that means, but I think maybe it means they know I'm honest. They know that I say what I think without sugarcoating it, without editing it, and that's something maybe that they feel is missing
Yeah.
from their lives or missing in the media. That they know that I am raw and I don't know. I mean, does that make any sense to you? I don't know.
So I'm 52, so I'm kind of in the middle of all that. You come from a
You're a
generation,
child compared to me. You're a
right,
child.
exactly. You come from a generation that is just not around anymore. There's a bedside manner, there's a humor, there's a raw. Like I can just immediately see when you come up, immediately there's a level of you that's deep, there's depth. To me, I'm not surprised at all that you've hit this point because you are a force that has started and has not stopped, and you've completely stuck to who you are. And if anything that requires any merit artistically in this world, the best thing that we can imagine of anybody is them being them without ever backing down. It's the minute that Mandela walked out of that prison cell and decided that what he did was worth it, and that world changed after 27 years in a cell. Sometimes you got to go to extremes, but if you are who you are, and I think you have a wonderful look, you're a beautiful woman, and I think that for people to throw out all of these patsy things, it's a reflection on them. That all of the negative stuff that people throw out is a reflection on who they are, not who you are. And who you are is a creative force, and you emit a lot of light. It's immediately of all I interview and I see people all the time. It immediately comes off of you. you know? And I'm
Hmm.
a little biased because I said my dad's from New York. I love New Yorkers. I love that
Yeah.
mindset. And it is a complete no bullshit mindset. You go
It
in,
really is. I think a lot of it, I think you're quite right. New Yorkers don't care about being polite. They care about being heard and understood.
yeah,
And I got to say something. So you brought up one of my heroes. I don't understand people like Nelson Mandela. I don't understand how you do that kind of sacrifice for your beliefs. But there's a great quote that I often I don't steal it. I give him credit for it. But when he got out of prison, he forgave his prisoners. He forgave them.
yeah,
And someone said, I'm going to get this wrong. Shoot. Somebody who's listening could look up the correct words. I'm just paraphrasing that. Someone said, how could you forgive? How can you not still be angry at those people? And he said, because I don't want to be angry at them because I do not want to be in prison anymore.
there you go.
That just gives me chills, even
Yeah,
saying it,
yeah,
because he didn't want to be imprisoned by his anger.
uh-huh.
And that's what forgiveness does for you.
Yep.
It unlocks you. Isn't that an amazing
Oh,
quote?
unreal, unreal, and it's from a generation of people that just don't exist anymore. We are in a totally different era, and you embody not only from where you came from, but an era that these kids aren't ever going to see again. This is like dinosaurs leaving the planet. This is not going to happen again. It's
I
it's over
would
with.
don't say, you never know. We might
Right.
be
No,
surprised.
I'm not
We
trying to be
might,
negative. What I'm
yeah.
doing is that I'm lauding you and your generation coming from the wars and all of these things and feeling things in a completely different way. It's just going to be different. And it's not a negative thing. It's just going to transpire. Everything's going to become a different thing. But what you are and where you came from, your collective history is fascinating, especially to the younger people. And they
Mhm.
don't read in books anymore. They see TikTok.
No, I know
I
that
know.
really. I just teach, I teach storytelling.
Yeah.
I teach I call it creating and performing the personal humorous essay, because that's really what I do. You can, by the way, you can listen to me on the Moth.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just to ask, this is the first time I taught a 3-day workshop at Emerson College. Now, usually when I teach this, it's to writers, it's to grown-up writers who kind. This is the first time I worked with young kids, with kids in their 20s. And it was interesting. And I tease them, they know nothing. They've read nothing, they've seen nothing. They 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 live on their screens.
Yep. Yep.
And so they're very limited in their knowledge about the world.
Yeah.
And they're also limited in their, we laughed about it. I said, okay, get up, everybody. Tell me a story about the worst thing that ever happened to you and how you survived it and make it funny. Now, that's basic for any comedy person. As I say, comes from pain.
Yeah.
They had nothing. They're 20 years old. The best they could come up with, one kid said, well, when I was in high school, I had a crush on a girl, but then I heard she was a racist, so I didn't like her anymore. And I said, that's the worst thing that ever happened to you? By the time I was your age, you know, I could have had a list of
Yeah.
terrible things that had
Uh-huh.
happened to me.
Yeah.
So are we, but this is not their fault. It's
Right.
our fault because we're protecting them. As I said, we don't let them fail. We don't let them,
You're right.
everything's been handed to them. And these poor kids also, they spent high school in lockdown.
Yeah. Right.
So they didn't have the suffering. High school is a terrible time.
Yeah.
They didn't suffer through being bullied or the prom or all that stuff that goes on. Uh, but it was, in the end, they were fun, and I got them to do something, but it was very curious. It was very odd for me
Yeah.
to experience that. That's my husband in the
Yeah. No,
background.
that's awesome. I love it. So I got to know, Annie, after 86 years on this planet, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, I think I'm super sensitive. I'm easily depressed and easily anxious. I'm a bundle of emotions. I really am. It's easy. You could say the wrong thing to me and I won't sleep for a week. But maybe because I'm that emotional, maybe I've been lucky enough to use my sensitivities in a positive way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's given me compassion
Yeah.
and an understanding of the human. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
It makes total sense. And I got to say, I love your story. This always, these stories always restore my faith in humanity. You being you is
Oh,
the
I'm
viral
happy to hear
sensation.
that.
It's a wonderful thing. So if anyone wants to pick up the book, they want to tune into your TikTok channel, any of the good news, where can they go?
Oh, good. Oh, the book you can get on Amazon. Oh,
Okay.
I should have said, I made a mistake. By calling it the book. If you look up the Book of Annie, it sends you to Annie the show.
Right.
So you should easily look up my name, Annie Korzen, or the full title, The Book of Annie, Humor, Heart, and Chutzpah from an Accidental Influencer.
It's wonderful. Annie, this has been so
At
great.
Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Amazon's the best, the easiest.
Yeah, that's the number one. I will put all of these links in the show notes and make sure that I shuttle people in the right
Oh,
direction.
great. Oh, great, great,
So
great.
we'll be in good
I
shape.
love this. I want to talk to you forever. Tell me again.